I have a question for you. Do you rely on throat sprays, teas, and lozenges to make you feel better when your voice feels fatigued or when it disappears on you? I'm Katie Power. I'm a vocal health expert, a performance coach, a speaker, an author, and the founder of Total Vocal Health. I have spent the past 20-ish years helping performers achieve amazing goals that they set for themselves, all without ever losing their voices. And a few weeks ago, I posted about the 5 most common myths about singing and vocal health that I hear from singers and speakers every day. So since then, I have been breaking down each one of these myths for you, explaining why they are myths, and we've been digging in for the past several weeks on this. So today we are on myth number 4, and that is that sprays, teas, lozenges, elixirs, and the like are the solution to vocal fatigue and voice loss. We're going to be talking about how relying on things like these, it's actually creating a bigger problem for you than it is solving one. If you are already feeling called out by what I've said about the throat sprays and teas and lozenges, and you want to learn how to get on a better path to vocal health so that you can ditch all those sprays and drops and sing with power without consequences, then I want you to know I've opened up a few spots in my calendar for complimentary power-up sessions with me. And I'll explain more about what that looks like in a bit, but just know that if that's something that you want in your life, you want to figure out how to stop having these problems, and those are your go-tos when you do have it, then you need to schedule a time with me and let's figure this out. So the best way to do it, I'm going to put it in the comments as well, but in the description, you will see a link, and it's getmypowerup.com. That's the best place to go. I'm also putting it in the comments so that you can grab it there if that's easier. If you know, oh my God, that's me, I need this, go ahead and grab that link and schedule a time to chat with me. So I've told you before that right at the 99-2000 turn of the millennium, I was working as a singer on a cruise ship in Tahiti. And I lost my voice on that contract for the first and only time in my life. And I've talked about that before, but my roommate on the ship, Jen, she also lost her voice, but she lost her voice kind of a bunch of times. So she lost it at least once during our 3-week rehearsal period and a couple of times throughout our 7-ish months on that contract. And I remember having conversations with her about it, and she believed that her voice just wasn't as strong as mine. She's one of the people that they all gave me this nickname, Chords of Steel, because I was able to do all this crazy vocal stuff and I never lost my voice until I did. But anyway, she just believed that she wasn't born with a voice that had any power. Well, the first thing that clued me into something's off here is she has a very booming, powerful speaking voice. She's a very bubbly, fun personality, and she has a big voice. When you hear her, she speaks with a whole lot of power. So I just couldn't fathom that she just didn't have a very powerful, strong voice just because of that. Well, after about 10 years after we left the ship, I think it was about that, she got cast as Maureen in Rent. And she knew that she needed to figure out how to sing powerfully so that she wouldn't lose her voice. So she called me. And Jen was a graduate of New York University's CAP 21 program. She's a fantastic singer and an unbelievable actress. But the only vocal training that she got there and in her years prior was classical technique, which is very normal. That's what normally happens with people, that's what they get. And if you've been watching this live series that I've been on for the past few weeks, then you probably have a better idea now of what got her into the situation of continuing to lose her voice. If you haven't, go back and watch those. There's one specifically on classical technique. So once she learned from me how to sing using contemporary technique, everything changed for her. Everything. She was able to access that same kind of power that she had when she spoke, when she was singing. and she wasn't feeling any fatigue at all. Jen was amazed at the power that she was able to create and how high she was able to take that power and then still suffer zero consequences. So yeah, most of all, she was amazed that she no longer loses her voice. The other thing that I found completely interesting was when I met Jen, and like years after that, she just never thought that she was capable of singing anything besides classical music or legit musical theater. She was always cast as the leading lady in musicals, using this because she has a gorgeous, legit soprano voice. And she just never thought that she just didn't think she was created to sing anything other than that. And so probably the biggest thing that happened to her, besides not losing her voice ever again, was that she was all of a sudden singing rock. She started fronting a rock band. And then, and now she like prefers singing that kind of music. So she gets cast in a lot of musical reviews now instead of those leading lady roles. And yes, she still can play any of those things, but she's added this other skill that she didn't have before, and she doesn't lose her voice. So if you want some of what she's having, then let's figure out what the best solution is for you. And the best way to do that is to schedule a time in my calendar for a power-up session. We can get the ball rolling and get you on the path to vocal health. So let's get back to that question that I posed at the beginning. Do you rely on throat sprays, teas, lozenges, and the like when your voice feels fatigued or disappears on you? So I know a lot of you do. Because I see you posting about it and I hear you talking about it, so I know you do. And before I get into why this is a really bad idea, because it is, I want to talk about one of the biggest overarching myths about voice loss and fatigue. And that is that if you use your voice more than most people, that voice loss and fatigue are inevitably going to happen to you. That is probably the number one myth surrounding vocal health, that it's just voice loss is just something you have to expect will happen to you. And secondary to that overarching myth is this one, that managing the symptoms of vocal fatigue and loss are how you fix the problem. That is a myth. So I just started my case study this past week. I'm so excited. It's Power Up with Total Vocal Health. And one of the participants in the case study said to me, sort of apologetically, I know you're not really a fan of vocal rest, but, and then she went on to explain her point. So since she got that impression of me, I decided that a clearing of the air is necessary. So I am a huge fan of vocal rest. If, and only if, you're already experiencing voice loss or fatigue. If you've already found yourself in a place of limitation, where you're missing notes in your range, where it takes way more air than usual to make any sound at all, or if there's nothing there, then I'm a big fan of vocal rest. Why? Because once you've reached that point, water and rest are truly the only solution. They're only solutions that are going to get you back to health and safety. Anything else, and I mean everything and anything else, is just a Band-Aid. And I don't even like to say that it's a Band-Aid, because these kinds of things are comparable. They're comparable to a Band-Aid because they're not, okay, I cannot speak. I'm all fired up. I don't like to call them Band-Aids because you can't hurt yourself from putting on a Band-Aid. They are comparable to a Band-Aid because they're covering up the problem rather than fixing it. And I know rest and water takes time and it limits your lifestyle. I get it. And that's why I'm an even bigger fan of prevention. The work that I do with singers helps them prevent voice loss from ever happening again. So let's get back to all the teas and sprays and lozenges. I want you to think of those kinds of things like teas, throat coat tea, throat spray, and chloroseptic lozenges and anything else like that. Think of those kinds of things at like anesthesia. So if you've ever had to be anesthetized for anything, when you get anesthetized, your nerves are numbed so that you don't feel the surgeon or whoever slicing you open and messing with your insides, right? It numbs your nerves so you don't feel that. Sprays and teas and lozenges do the same thing. They numb the pain that you're feeling in your voice. And that makes you feel like a superhero. It's like, oh, look at that. My problem went away. I'm fine. I can do whatever I want now, right? And then you do. And then you feel worse once that anesthetic wears off. You feel worse because you are using damaged vocal cords that have been numbed to make you think that they're fine. But you're using damaged vocal cords that actually need time to heal. But you're using them as if they're healthy. So once it wears off, you feel worse. And I know that this isn't good news for you, but there is no quick fix once the damage is done. There's no quick fix. Vocal rest is the fix, and it's not quick. And this is why voice loss prevention is so essential. You can prevent it so you never have to deal with it. People think it's inevitable and it sneaks up on them and then they're stuck with it and they don't know what to do. So they grab all these quick fixes to try to make the symptoms go away. They create a bigger problem, which makes it last even longer. And they end up in this cycle of always feeling this way because they're continuing to push through when they need to rest. So rest and then get on a path of prevention. If you don't know how, which I'm guessing you don't because a lot of people seem to think that it's just something that happens, then let's talk. As long as you're relying on those kinds of things to fix your problem, you're going to continue to have the problem. Can you use these kinds of things, teas, sprays, lozenges, whatever, in addition to vocal rest? If you've gotten yourself into a situation, 100% yes. As long as you are not counting on that anesthetizing magic that tricks you into thinking you're all better, then I have no problem with them. But then, maybe if it hurts and you want to feel a little bit better, go for it. Just remember, when you use those things and you feel better, it's not real. Okay? It's not real. You need to continue to rest. Continue to drink water. Once you commit to going on vocal rest and really healing your voice, then it's time to learn how to prevent it from ever happening to you again. And that's where I come in. So, as I said, I've experienced this once in my life, and it scared me so badly that I needed to figure out how to make sure that it never happened to me again. And I not only figured it out, but I never lost my own voice again. And I spent the next 20 plus, almost 22 years helping other singers never lose their voices again either. So let's pack up the throat spray and reach out to me. Visit www.getmypowerup.com and schedule a time for us to figure out a solution that will get you back on the path to experiencing total vocal health. So when you visit the link, you're going to see a bunch of results from singers who have worked with me, and you'll be asked to check whether there are 3 different options. You can check whether you're a singer, actor, if you are a speaker or coach or executive, or if you are interested in becoming a coach for performers, speakers, singers, things like that. So pick whichever one applies to you, and then you'll be taken to a brief questionnaire so that I can get to know you and your needs a little bit better. Then you'll be taken to my calendar to schedule a time for us to meet. So when you schedule it, you'll get a confirmation and you'll get a reminder that we'll both have our Zoom link for the call. When we meet, you just click the Zoom and we'll have a conversation. We'll get you get figured out what needs to happen for you to move forward in a place of vocal health. So again, I want to remind you, this doesn't have to happen to you. It's not inevitable. It doesn't have to continue to be a problem for you if it already is. So let's fix it. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in.